West Memphis, Arkansas, a small town nestled in the heart of the American South, where the Mississippi River flows quietly by. A town where life moved at a slower pace. Children played freely in the streets, their laughter a common sound in the air. Neighbors knew each other by name and a sense of community was strong. It was a place where everyone looked out for one another. The year was 1993. A time before smartphones and social media, when news traveled by word of mouth and local newspapers. May turned to June, schools closed for the summer, and a sense of carefree joy filled the air. Families spent time outdoors enjoying the warm weather, but that idyllic picture was about to be shattered. Dark clouds loomed on the horizon, signaling an impending storm. An unspeakable crime would plunge this small town into the abyss of fear and suspicion. The peace and tranquility of West Memphis would be forever altered. The innocence of childhood lost forever. The playgrounds that once echoed with laughter now stood silent and empty. On May 5, 1993, 3 8-year-old boys vanished without a trace. The community was thrown into chaos. Stevie Branch, Michael Moore, and Christopher Byers were best friends. They did everything together, their bond unbreakable. They were last seen riding their bikes together, their laughter echoing through the woods, their youthful energy boundless. It was a typical day for them, filled with adventure and fun. As dusk fell, the boys didn't return home. Worry turned to panic. A frantic search began, with parents and police scouring the area. Hope dwindled with each passing hour. The once vibrant community now gripped by a growing sense of dread and helplessness. The community rallied together. They scoured the woods. They knocked on doors. They prayed for the safe return of the 3 boys. But their prayers went unanswered. The following day, the unthinkable happened. The boys' bodies were discovered, submerged in a muddy creek in a place called Robin Hood Hills. The news spread through West Memphis like wildfire. Disbelief mixed with horror. The boys had been brutally murdered. Their bodies were bound and mutilated. The community was in shock. Fear gripped the hearts of every parent. Who could have committed such a heinous act? The demand for justice was immediate and overwhelming. The investigation intensified. Police desperately searched for clues in the murky waters of Robin Hood Hills, hoping to find the monster responsible for this horrific crime. The small town of West Memphis was ill-equipped to handle a crime of this magnitude. The police were under immense pressure to find the killer. Their investigation quickly focused on 3 teenagers, Damien Echols, Jason Baldwin, and Jessie Misskelley Jr. These boys were different. They were outsiders. They listened to heavy metal music, wore black clothing, and dabbled in the occult. Damien Echols in particular was an easy target. He was a troubled teen, prone to outbursts and dark fantasies. He had a history of minor run-ins with the law. To the police, these boys, with their dark interests and outsider status, fit the profile of the killers. They became the prime suspects. The community, desperate for answers, readily accepted this narrative. The investigation took a sinister turn with the interrogation of Jessie Misskelley Jr. Jessie, a young man with a learning disability, was easily manipulated by the seasoned detectives. He was interrogated for hours without a lawyer or his parents present. The officers used coercive tactics, fed him details of the crime, and promised him leniency if he confessed. Exhausted, scared, and confused, Jessie broke down. He provided a confession. He told the police what they wanted to hear. He implicated himself and his friends Damien and Jason in the murders. This confession, later proven to be riddled with inconsistencies and inaccuracies, became the cornerstone of the prosecution's case. It was a major breakthrough, or so they thought. The trial of the West Memphis Three, as they came to be known, was a media spectacle. The case drew national attention, with reporters and cameras swarming the courthouse, eager to capture every moment of the proceedings. The public was captivated by the sensational nature of the accusations and the dramatic courtroom scenes that unfolded. The prosecution, lacking physical evidence, built their case on the theory of satanic ritual abuse. They relied heavily on the testimonies of so-called experts in the occult and satanic practices who painted a terrifying picture of ritualistic violence. The defense, on the other hand, struggled to counter these claims, as the jury seemed swayed by the fear and hysteria surrounding the case. They painted Damien, Jason, and Jessie as devil worshippers who had murdered the children as part of a satanic ritual. The boys' unconventional appearances and interests were used against them, with Damien's fascination with the occult and Jason's love for heavy metal music being portrayed as evidence of their guilt. This narrative tapped into the undercurrent of fear and paranoia that had gripped America in the 1980s and early 1990s. During this time, the nation was in the throes of the Satanic Panic, a period marked by widespread fear of satanic cults and ritualistic abuse. The media played a significant role in fueling these fears with sensational headlines and alarming news reports. The Satanic Panic was a period when unfounded fears of satanic cults preying on children swept the nation. Stories of ritualistic abuse and hidden cults dominated the news, leading to a climate of fear and suspicion. Many innocent people were caught up in the hysteria, facing accusations and trials based on little more than rumor and speculation. The prosecution presented questionable expert witnesses who testified about the dangers of satanic cults and the occult. These so-called experts often had dubious credentials, and their testimonies were based on pseudoscience and fear-mongering. Despite this, their words carried weight in the courtroom, further swaying the jury against the defendants. They used Jessie's coerced confession and the boys' interest in heavy metal music and Stephen King novels as evidence of their guilt. The prosecution argued that these interests were indicative of a deeper, more sinister fascination with the occult. This line of reasoning played into the existing fears and prejudices of the time, making it difficult for the defense to present a fair and unbiased case. The jury, swayed by the prosecution's narrative and the pervasive fear of satanic cults, found the West Memphis Three guilty. Damien Echols, deemed the ringleader, was sentenced to death. Jason Baldwin and Jessie Misskelley Jr. received life sentences. The case seemed closed, but the fight for justice had just begun. Even as the three teenagers began their sentences, doubts lingered. People questioned the lack of physical evidence, the reliance on a coerced confession, and the validity of the Satanic Panic theory. As the years passed, support for the West Memphis Three grew. Documentaries like Paradise Lost: The Child Murders at Robin Hood Hills brought national attention to the case. Celebrities like Eddie Vedder and Johnny Depp lent their voices to the cause, raising awareness and funds for their legal defense. The fight for justice was long and arduous. Years turned into a decade into almost two. Finally, in 2007, a glimmer of hope emerged from the depths of the case files. New DNA evidence was discovered. This evidence, not available at the time of the original trial, did not match any of the three convicted men. It pointed to an unknown male profile. This discovery sent shockwaves through the legal system. It cast serious doubt on the guilty verdicts. The prosecution's case, built on shaky foundations, began to crumble. The fight for a new trial intensified. Lawyers for the West Memphis Three argued that this new DNA evidence, combined with the flawed confession and the discredited Satanic Panic theory, warranted a retrial. The state of Arkansas, faced with mounting pressure and irrefutable DNA evidence, offered the West Memphis Three a deal, an Alford plea. This plea, a controversial legal maneuver, would allow the men to maintain their innocence while acknowledging that the prosecution had enough evidence to convict them. It was a bittersweet victory. After 18 years of wrongful imprisonment, Damien Echols, Jason Baldwin, and Jessie Misskelley Jr. walked free in August 2011. They emerged from the courtroom greeted by a throng of supporters, their faces etched with a mixture of relief and indignation. They were free, but their fight for justice was far from over. The release of the West Memphis Three did not answer all the questions surrounding the murders of Stevie Branch, Michael Moore, and Christopher Byers. The real killer or killers remain unidentified. The case remains open, a haunting reminder of a grave miscarriage of justice. Despite the release of the three men, the families of the victims are left with no closure, no answers, and a lingering pain that time cannot heal. The community remains divided, with some believing in the innocence of the West Memphis Three, while others still harbor doubts. The West Memphis Three case stands as a stark reminder of the fallibility of the justice system. It exposes the dangers of tunnel vision, coerced confessions, and the influence of public fear and hysteria on juries. The case has sparked debates about the reliability of forensic evidence, the role of media in shaping public opinion, and the ethical responsibilities of law enforcement. Damien Echols, Jason Baldwin, and Jessie Misskelley Jr. were robbed of their youth, their freedom, and their reputations. They emerged from prison with the scars of wrongful conviction etched deeply upon their souls, forever marked by a tragedy they did not commit. Their story is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, but also a sobering reminder of the cost of injustice. The quest for true justice, for the families of the victims and for the West Memphis Three, continues. The case has inspired documentaries, books, and countless discussions, all aimed at uncovering the truth and ensuring that such a miscarriage of justice never happens again. The scars left by this case are deep, but the hope for resolution and healing endures.